Hi folks, and welcome back to the allotment, 6 o'clock in the morning. The best time to be here. And there's something that I've really been neglecting and meaning to do, and it kind of blows my mind as well that I've never done this before. Would you believe me if I told you that I'd never actually bought a bamboo cane in my life? I've had this allotment 4 years and I've been able to kind of get by with just using random bits of canes and various supports, but I really need to start putting some effort into supporting my plants in the greenhouse. And so I've bought 50 of the smaller ones here and some of the bigger ones as well for things like cucumbers or staking around the squashes, just general things in the beds or for the future. I think this is one of those things you can't really have too many of, but let me show you how I'm going to be supporting my chili peppers. I should really say as well that I'm doing this a bit late. The best time to do this is 100% when you first pot up your plants. You don't want to be trying to work around mature plants because you're much more likely to kind of snap their leaves or cause them a bit of damage, or you know, you're going to put them in their final pots like I've done and then kind of forget about it a little bit, and then they're going to start getting really big and you're going to go, oh no, maybe, you know, some of the branches are going to start falling over or snapping off, especially if they start growing lots and lots of fruit, which, if you followed all of my chili advice, should be happening. I'll tell you what folks, I did that little garden tour yesterday, the back garden tour, and I didn't come to the allotment all day. I just woke up this morning like, I've got it. It feels so strange when you're in the habit of going and then you miss a day. It just feels so strange. I'm like, I've got to get going. And everything in here is looking okay. One thing I am looking at is just whether or not this kind of netting is holding. And I know rodents, they only need the tiniest little space to get through. I wonder if this chicken wire is enough. I think what I will try and do is knock up some kind of wooden frame. I've seen someone on the plot, they have a perfect wooden frame that just kind of sits inside their greenhouse door. And that's one of those things that you can kind of build and then just put away in the shed forever. But one thing I am noticing, unfortunately, is a few of the plants have got a lot of this sappy residue. And is that just... Oh, okay, I think that's just actually dew because it's so early in the morning. I was looking at that thinking it's aphid honeydew and a sign that there's lots of aphid problems, but actually the aphid populations in here have really calmed down. There were a few plants that were quite affected. This was the worst one, and I've been using a little bit of neem oil. This is a Bert the chili, but now I can't see a single one. So either the predators have been in or the heat of the greenhouse has killed them. That is one of the things about aphids I find, is that when it starts to really warm up, there's some telltale signs on here, but when it really starts to warm up, they don't like it in the greenhouse. There's maybe a sign that it's a bit humid in here. I gave these a really good water the other day. Yeah, really happy. I'm quite surprised. Oh, look at this. Yes, this is exactly what you want to see. That is a hoverfly pupa. So it's done its little larval thing, and now I think it's starting to pupate, which is really, really cool. That means there's good things in here keeping all the pests at bay. But what I was about to say is that there's a surprising amount of chilies on a lot of these, actually. Not something I would say I'm concerned about, but you don't really want to be seeing too many of these at this stage. It's still just late June. I want the plants to be growing vegetation before they start to set fruit. And I must say as well, have you seen Tony's chili peppers? I'm a bit jealous, to be honest. Tony C. Smith is doing really, really well with his peppers, probably about as well as you can do. He has absolutely nailed it this year. He did start a lot of his fast-growing varieties a month before mine, and then he put them in a heated greenhouse, and oh my goodness, pop over to his channel. If for some reason you're not watching Tony's videos as well, I'll link it in the description, but his peppers, they're quite far ahead of mine, and I'm having like one of the best years I've ever had. What? Something's eaten one of mine. What's this? This is one I don't see very often. Oh, there's one other thing I've got to show you as well. I do this all the time, every single video, just getting completely distracted. But just look at this. Look at this. This is my Kangstar Lemon Starburst, and this was a write-off. This had the worst start to the season like a pepper could possibly have. It was sown late and then it just stayed the smallest little plant. It did not want to grow whatsoever. But look at it now, loads of fresh growth. I potted it on into this quite big pot when it just had maybe 3 or 4 leaves on it, and it was a bit risky, but it clearly likes the new compost, and I'm so glad I rescued that. I really hope I've got some old footage or clips, because this is an unbelievable recovery. Anyway, I'm just so distracted. Let me show you how I'm actually going to string some of these up. I've got to make sure I don't poke my eye out on camera. I know that it's definitely best practice. Nearly said something different there. Oh my God, there's a massive melon coming. I nearly said breast, and now we're talking about melons. Anyway, what I was going to say is oh my God, I cannot say that. Best practice is definitely to cover the tops of any canes. And I don't want to not do that and then poke my eye out on video. But just look at this bad boy. This is a big pepper, and without anything around it, you can see just how floppy it is. This is the chili. Ooh, I must say, there's quite a few fungus gnats in here. That's very unusual. I had a comment about fungus gnats just the other day, and I was saying that once the peppers go in the greenhouse, you don't get any. They go away, and I can see them all going a bit crazy in here, and that's not great because they do damage the roots of your plant. So next watering, I'll do some more neem oil, because that does hit these as well. I think the easiest way for peppers is to use 3 canes, relatively small. You don't need to kind of support it all the way up the plant, because these are much more kind of bushing varieties peppers, as opposed to a cordon or a tomato or something like that. You really just want to give it a bit of support at the bottom, and that should be enough kind of throughout the rest of its life. So long as the bottom and the stem is kind of supported and the branches can come out and they're supported, this will be fine. Just do 3 kind of in a triangle. And what you then have to do, this is the tricky bit with you can use string or ties or whatever. But you have to be careful that you've got to get the right amount of tightness, because if you pull it too tight, the canes, they're just in compost, so they're going to become loose, and if you don't do it tight enough, then you're just going to have a load of saggy string that's not really doing anything. But you tie it off on the first one, and then you loop it around the cane, and then you pull it just a little bit tight, and then you loop it around the cane, and you pull it just tight enough. See, if I pull this too hard, what it's going to do is just make this cane actually loose in the compost. You don't want to do it too tight. Just enough tension there that it's going to support the plant when the plant inevitably starts leaning on it. And then, like I say, it doesn't have to be too crazy. You can kind of tailor it to the plant as well. So this is clearly a tall growing variety. If I was doing this for a chinense variety that was a lot more bushy, I'd have a lot more levels of string and more string support at the bottom. This one I've gone quite high. And to be honest, you should probably learn a quick release knot for this that's going to hold. And then when you want to go and take them all apart, you can just quickly untie. But I am doing what one of my colleagues used to call a granny knot. Just a standard double knot, and it's not great when it comes time to release, but it does the job, and maybe I should put that on my to-do list. But I've got lots of these to do and not much time, just an hour before work, so let's see how many we can do. I've only got about 6 done. It isn't great, but in 20 minutes, if you had an hour, you could get through. Well, if you were a normal person and you're only going 5 or 6 chilies, this wouldn't take long at all. But I think it's one of those things where a little bit of effort does actually go a really long way. And it's important to just do this as early as possible. One other reason that you want to do it early is because sticking 3 bamboo canes in here Might not seem like a lot, but if this compost is now full of your plant's root systems, you're going to be breaking quite a lot of those roots. I could feel that I was doing that as I was doing this, and I was like, oh, don't like it. You can, of course, buy kind of bespoke cages and that kind of thing, but yeah, I don't think it would take too long to get through these, and I have been going quite slowly as well. It's just blissful. This time in the morning, it's just me and the bird song, and everything's looking nice and backlit. There's a few plants that when the sun shines through, the borage, the way it catches the light is just absolutely gorgeous, and there's bees on it as I speak. So there we go, a few little tips about supporting your chili peppers. Remember to do it early. Thank you ever so much for watching. An extra special thank you to my Chili Pepper Tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Michael, Mel, Denise, Sogs in the Garden, and Craig. Hopefully I'll see you again in the next one, where I'm going to definitely be showing you in the tomato house, because you spend one day away and it just all changes.